Mr. Speaker, during the recess, we were struck with sorrow with the passing of 8 distinguished citizens who served Ghana with dedication and honor. We mourn our respected colleague, Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, Member of Parliament for Tamale Central and Minister for Environment, Science and Technology and Innovation. We also remember Dr. Edward Omanibuama, Minister for Defense, Alhaji Muniru Mohammed, Acting Deputy National Security Coordinator, the Deputy Dr. Samuel Sapon, Vice Chairman of National Democratic Congress, and Samuel Abronye, former parliamentary candidate, Squadron Leader Peter Bafemi Anala, Flying Officer Manin Chum Ampedu, and Sergeant Ernest Adu Mensah. Mr. Speaker, the minority extends its deepest condolences to their families, loved ones, and all who mourn their loss. May their soul rest in perfect peace. Even as we are inspired by their dedicated service to recommit to public service with dignity, courage, and honor. Mr. Speaker, we have today also welcomed 2 new members of Parliament, a member for Akwitia and Tamale Central. Their arrival is a solemn reminder of both the grief we share and the hope we carry for renewed service. Mr. Speaker, the state of our nation's governance presents a mix of trials and opportunities, from economic hardship on the home front to unsettling development on the international stage. These past months have indeed tested our resilience as a country. Mr. Speaker, Ghanaians remain concerned about the economy. While recent indicators show modest macroeconomic gains, these are yet to bring real relief to the ordinary citizen. The truth is, stabilization means little if the youth remain unemployed and families still struggle with the cost of living. The mass dismissals across key state institutions represent a direct assault on the integrity of public service. Competent officers who were employed have been sacked from office under directives from the Chief of Staff. These dismissals were carried out without due process, without cause, and in clear violation of constitutional and statutory provisions. These are politically motivated acts that undermine professionalism, weaken state institutions, and erode public confidence in governance. The recent labor unrest whilst we were on break shows a clear public discontent. Over 200 junior doctors have worked for 10 months without pay, and more than 800 remain unposted. Newly trained teachers and nurses have also gone months without salaries. These are the stories of hardship people face. A government that fails to pay its frontline workers cannot claim to care for its people. Mr. Speaker, it must be emphasized that the MPP government, whilst in office, initiated the 1D1F. This was conceived as a vehicle to drive industrial growth and create sustainable jobs through private sector participation. However, government actions in recent months show a clear lack of commitment to that vision. Instead of providing real support to existing private sector jobs and easing the cost of doing business, bureaucracies are being created, frustrating investors and entrepreneurs. This stifles innovation, discourages productivity, and risks choking the public sector with inefficiencies that private sector was meant to relieve. But, Mr. Speaker, no economy can grow when private sector initiative is replaced with political control. The time has come for government to walk the talk of ensuring that the private sector becomes the real engine of growth. Enough of the rhetorics. The 24-hour economy must not be an empty talk. It must provide a hope for many youths who expect jobs. Mr. Speaker, on the governance front, governance is about upholding freedom, justice, and the rule of law. The frequent arrests of opposition figures, journalists, and ordinary citizens on flimsy and politically motivated charges exemplify a pattern of harassment intended to silence dissent. They paint a troubling picture of a shrinking civic space in our democracy. Even more disturbing, young Ghanaians expressing frustration on social media have been targeted, questioned, and in some cases detained. The question we ask as a minority is this the reset we were promised, or an era of regression into intolerance? Mr. Speaker, the case of David Afo-Kodjo-Pra, a young man known on social media as Kwame Nkrumah #2, highlights the disturbing double standards in how justice is applied. After a live stream on social media, he was swiftly arrested, prosecuted, and sentenced to 7 months in prison. Much as the law must be applied, we must ask, is the state equally swift when government-affiliated individuals commit similar or worse infractions? Not long before this incident, during the Akwetia by-election, the NDC National Vice Chairman, Sofo Azoka, openly declared that there will be by-election in my constituency. That was a threat, plain and simple. Unlike in the case of Kwame Nkrumah II, the police have not taken action. Mr. Speaker, why is there no urgency on this matter? Why the speed in one case and silence in another? Justice must be seen to be done. Justice cannot be harsh on critics and lenient on those who are closer to power. The broader context deepens our concern. Mr. Speaker, on the 8th of September, the Bono Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Mr. Kwame Bafo Abronye, popularly known as Abronye DC, was arrested and detained on charges that appear politically motivated. The court ruling in this case raises deeper constitutional questions. In delivering judgment, the presiding judge, His Lordship Akwa, cited George Orwell's Animal Farm, observing that, quote, all men are equal, but some are more equal than others, unquote, and went on to quote the late President Robert Mugabe, purportedly, quote, I can assure you of freedom of speech, but cannot assure you of freedom after speech, end quote. Mr. Speaker, these remarks to us as the minority, coming from the bench, convey an unsettling message that equality before the law and freedom of expression may no longer be treated as fundamental rights, but as privileges subject to interpretation and power. Such reasoning, if left unchecked, sets a worrying precedent for democratic governance and judicial independence. The use of Orwell and supposed quote from Mugabe to rationalize the restriction of free speech undermines the spirit of our Constitution, which guarantees every citizen the right to express opinion without fear of reprisal. Ghana's courts have long stood as the last line of defense for liberty, and any departure from that role risks eroding public confidence in justice itself. The minority, therefore, finds this trend dangerous and calls for restraint, reflection, and a renewed commitment to fairness, equality, and the true meaning of freedom under the rule of law. Mr. Speaker, the minority registers its unequivocal objection to the removal of the Chief Justice, Mrs. Gertrude Araba Esaba Saki Tokonu. We believe the process lacked transparency, violated constitutional principles, and set a dangerous precedent for judicial interference. 3 separate petitions were referred to the Puaman Committee. The committee only had 1 petition, then adjourned proceedings for continuation on the 15th of September. Yet, without notice to any party in the matter, the committee suddenly submitted a report on the 1st of September, and within 2 hours, an announcement was made of a removal. Was that adjournment a deception, Mr. Speaker? Even more troubling was a warrant of the suspension. It claimed to have made a prima facie determination, but to date, no one has seen such document, and this raises serious constitutional questions. The so-called Puaman report remains a secret document. We, the minority, shall not relent on our demand for a copy and a full disclosure of this report. Mr. Speaker, this matter goes beyond one individual. If this false and irregular process succeeds, it endangers every independent constitutional body. The Auditor General, the Electoral Commission, the National Commission for Civic Education, and even the Public Services Commission could be targeted next under the same Article 146 procedure. The question that must even be asked, that when a person is removed as a Chief Justice, that he or she remain a Justice of the Supreme Court. This will destroy the safeguards of accountability and erase the principle of probity from our governance. If judicial independence can be manipulated in this manner, we should not expect free or credible elections in future. Mr. Speaker, the judiciary is the last line of defense for our democracy, and any act that undermines its independence strikes at the heart of our constitutional order. The minority will resist any attempt to compromise the sanctity of the judiciary. Ghana's institutions must be protected from political manipulation, and we will not sit idly by while dangerous precedents are set. On the issue of illegal mining, we, the minority, are of the view that this represents one of Ghana's gravest governance challenges that has persisted across successive governments and which has escalated into a full-blown national crisis is the menace of illegal mining, popularly known as Galamsey. The devastation caused by Galamsey to our environment, water bodies, and public health cannot be overstated. Even as we convene today, Mr. Speaker, our rivers run brown with pollution. Vast tracts of once fertile land lies carried and toxic, and many of our citizens in mining communities face illness and danger from poisonous chemicals. We have talked about illegal mining for years, yet the problem has only grown worse. Time for mere talk is over. We need decisive, visionary action now to save our country's future from disaster. Not long ago, we were warned. One such early warning came in 2010 when investigative journalist Anas Arimayew Anas released a documentary exposing the dark underbelly of Galamsey. That expose, part of the Africa Investigate series, shone a light on the tragic consequences of illegal mining that were already evident back then. The documentary recounted how in June 2010, a Galamsey pit near Dunkwa Onofin flooded, killing an estimated 150 people in a single disaster. It showed the rampant corruption and complicity that allowed Galamsey to flourish, including officials meant to enforce the law taking bribes to look the other way. It highlighted the environmental havoc being unleashed, rivers poisoned with mercury, cyanide and other toxins, local communities suffering flooding and pollution, fishermen and farmers losing their livelihood. Anas's work in 2010 was an early warning alert for our nation. Then again in 2015, Finance Minister Honorable Setekpe again brought this up at the Finance Committee hearing in Parliament when discussing reasons for the declining cocoa production in Ghana. Tragically, Mr. Speaker, those warnings were not heeded with the urgency and seriousness they deserved. Fast forward, today, the nightmare scenario is upon us. Just last month, new study by Pure Earth and Ghana's own EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, revealed terrifying data about toxin levels in mining communities. In some areas, mercury contamination in the soil is 134 times above safe levels, and arsenic concentration are over 4,000% higher than what the WHO deems safe. These poisonous metals are seeping into the water, into food crops, into the very bodies of our people. Doctors are reporting an uptick in children from mining areas developing kidney disorders and even finding mercury pellets in their x-rays. Children, Mr. Speaker, now require dialysis because of the poisonous fruits of Galamsey. Our nation's future is being sickened and stunted. Mr. Speaker, despite being Ghana's top gold producer, the surge in unregulated small-scale mining has created an underground economy that drains national resources and benefits criminal networks. In just 8 months this year, small-scale gold exports surged to over $6.3 billion, according to the CEO of Ghana Gold Board. However, much of this trade is believed to be illicit. The state loses billions in revenue while communities suffer environmental devastation. The minority stands with all Ghanaians, calling for decisive action. We welcome the advocacy from civil society and religious leaders, and we support real solutions from tougher laws to sustainable alternatives. Mr. Speaker, we must also admit that the situation has worsened since this government came into office. At the 2025 May Day celebrations, organized labor, speaking through its Secretary General, confronted this matter with deep disappointment that the Galamsey menace has worsened under the watch of this government, barely 5 months into its administration. TUC's position was again echoed by the acting Chief Justice, Justice Paul Bafuboni, at the GBA conference in Wa, where he also described the crisis as worsening. Mr. Speaker, when Labour and the judiciary raise their voices together, we must listen because these are not partisan voices. Mr. Speaker, the time to act is now. If we fail to protect our rivers, land and communities, we risk failing an entire generation. Mr. Speaker, during the recess, a foreign policy development came to light regarding an agreement between the government of Ghana and the United States to accept some deportees. Mr. Speaker, the agreement of such magnitude, in our view, and we respectfully submit, should be subject to the parliamentary scrutiny under Article 75 of the 1992 Constitution. We therefore demand that this arrangement be brought before Parliament for ratification. Ghana's foreign policy must never be conducted in secrecy, nor should we compromise our sovereignty for expediency. We urge the government to always place Ghana's dignity first and ensure that any international agreement reflects our values and command the confidence of the Ghanaian people. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, it is worth emphasizing that Ghana's story is of triumphs achieved through visionary leadership and the indomitable spirit of our people. The New Patriotic Party, during its time in government, championed bold initiatives that delivered tangible progress. We rolled out the free SHS policy, which opened doors for secondary education to youth from all walks of life. We pursued industrialization through 1D, 1F program, establishing 169 new factories nationwide and creating nearly 170,000 jobs for our citizens, constructing over 13,000 kilometers of roads, championing staff, making TVET education free, with all TVET institutions being facelifted. Mr. Speaker, this is the record of the previous government. Under MPP stewardship, Ghana's democracy deepened and economy grew to the extent that the world took notice. We therefore urge this government to walk the talk, and by being bold with policy implementation, enough of the rhetoric of 24-hour economy. We've had 1 job, 3 shifts. Enough of it. We want the reality to be seen on the streets of Accra. Finally, Mr. Speaker, we cannot afford to lose hope. Our nation has weathered many storms, and each time we have emerged stronger. The minority will continue to be the voice and the shield of the people in this august house. Though we are 87, we assure the people of Ghana that we are firm in our conviction and will be able to hold this supermajority to account. We don't believe in numbers, we believe in substance, and will confront you with substance. Mr. Speaker, we are a proud mighty few. Mr. Speaker, we are a proud mighty few who will speak truth to power and work tirelessly. Mr. Speaker, guided by discipline, hard work, and our faith in God. And Mr. Speaker, and inspired by your own hard work, when your party lost in 2000, you led the charge with fewer numbers, and within a short period, you made progress. We also inspired by what we saw in 2016, said that by 2020, your side had made progress. We believe in that same dream that come 2028, the minority will be the majority. Mr. Speaker, let us all be in President Akufo-Addo's words, be citizens, not spectators. Mr. Speaker, I thank you so much for your kind audience, and I thank colleagues for indulging.